Nobody really wants to be at summer school, whether you did bad in school or you're fast tracking. But what if insult is added to injury and there's some weird friggin' people thrown into the mix? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and get ready for 2 stories about these unfortunate students. Summer school creep. I am in college now, and this happened when I was going into 5th grade. I wasn't really the target of the story, but the man involved was a religion teacher at my church, as well as my summer school teacher. When I was in elementary school, my parents loved putting me into summer school. My mom was a waitress, and my dad was the president of a piping company. My elementary school was about a 15-minute walk from my house, so I would walk to and from school and stay home for the day until my mom came home at about 3. I know I was really young to stay home alone, but it really helped me learn independence, and I felt like the boss of the house, the main girl. Well, one morning, my mom didn't have to be into work until later, so she decided to drop me off. I liked my summer school classes at the time, but one that I was put in sucked. It was making things out of wood. First of all, I hate everything that has to do with that because I'm really clumsy, and art is not my specialty. My teacher, a man probably in his early 30s, was the teacher. He seemed pretty normal and was extremely nice. However, I noticed that he was overly friendly with the boys. On the day that my mom didn't have to leave early for work, she took me to the school, and I walked out and my teacher asked me for some help. He asked me to come to his car. I don't know why I did this, but my mom was right there. My mom noticed and she never left. While I was helping him, he made small talk about how well the boys were doing, and I thought it was rather odd, but pushed the thought out of my head. As the weeks went on, I noticed that he was super touchy with the boys in my class, and that he would give them extra help. This just creeped me out. I was the girl who needed desperate help because my wooden box, I honestly don't know what it was, it just looked like a box, was all messed up and I was frustrated. My teacher never once helped me. He would comment on how well the boys' projects were looking, and just completely ignored all the girls. I just thought he liked boys more than girls because he was a boy himself. After a nice break from summer school for 2 days, Monday rolled around and I walked into class, and there was a totally different teacher. I was super surprised because my old teacher was always early and talking to the boys. This teacher never said a word about where our real one went. After school, I went home and watched my TV with my dog. Later, my mom walked in the door, and she had this disgusted look on her face. I asked her what was wrong, and that's when she told me. My summer school teacher was helping out with the church's summer activities, and lured some boys about my age into a storage closet and molested them. My mom and I had a very long talk, and even though I had a hard time understanding all of this, I started to piece it all together as I got older. I felt so awful for those boys, and I wish I could have said something. My teacher ended up going to jail, and he had to go through intensive counseling. I haven't heard a word about him since. So, creepy pedophile summer school teacher, let's not meet again. Cotton or silk? A few years ago, I was taking summer classes to finish school sooner. My major was health information technology, and it was a short program. One of my classes required was psychology, which is where I met Aiden. He seemed nice, a bit awkward, and kinda quiet. I would catch him staring at me during class, out of the corner of my eye, but I didn't think anything of it. Towards the end of the term, we had a group project, and Aiden was in my group. He would make comments about my shoes and how nice they looked, and bring up random facts about shoes like, "Did you know a man invented the high heels to make the women's asses look better?" Still not really paying attention to how odd he was, I agreed to give him my number on the last day of class when he asked. We also exchanged email addresses. At the time, I was interested in meeting new people and making friends, so I thought this was a great opportunity. If I would have known what was coming next, I would never have given him my contact information. Not just a second after I got home, I got a text from him telling me to guess who. I said, "Aiden?" "How did you know?" he responds. I hope he was joking. I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe because we just exchanged numbers? We texted back and forth for a bit, talking about what we like to do for fun, what our majors were, political views, blah blah blah. I later went out to one of my girlfriends to catch up. I didn't look at my phone for a while, and when I did, he asked if I was still there or if I was ignoring him. I just said no, just out with a friend. I hope it's a female friend, he responds. Then, the conversation started to get stranger. I always have a fetish for girls with dark tan skin and black hair. You're very pretty. I didn't know how to respond to that. I thought it was just very straightforward and just blunt. All I say is thank you, and didn't think about it again. I got home, went into my room, turned on the fan to escape the heat, and made myself comfortable on my queen-size plush bed. I opened up my laptop, and Aiden is already trying to message me on instant chat. Alright, I thought, maybe he's just bored, considering we just started our long summer vacation. We chatted for a little bit about our past, but I didn't want to give him too much personal information. After all, I hardly knew him. The extreme compliments came back. Did you notice me checking you out in class? It was so hard to ask for your number because I think you're just so pretty. Your skin is just perfect. I say thank you and quickly change the subject because I was getting rather uncomfortable. I knew now more than ever, I had no intention of being anything more than friends. I go outside to help clean the very large van my parents owned. Of course, I didn't bring my phone out with me. I didn't want to risk getting it wet and damaged. After cleaning, I go inside to wash up and notice I have a bunch of text in my phone. All from Aiden. I miss talking to you. I hope I didn't say anything to offend you. Are you mad at me? I was starting to lose my patience. I can't stand the clingy personality. I casually explained to him I was outside cleaning. Oh, I'm so relieved, he responds. Throughout the rest of the day, I continue to get random messages from him, and I give him short responses hoping he would take the hint. Then, more compliments. Finally, as nicely as I could, I told him the compliments are a bit over the top, and they are making me feel uncomfortable. I understand, he says. You aren't used to it, and you're probably still healing from your previous relationship. I wasn't. This guy really doesn't get it, I thought. That night, he starts a conversation on instant chat and tells me he was talking to his aunt over the phone and told her he made a special friend. Remember, this is still the same day he asked me for my phone number. And then he asked me if I preferred cotton or silk. I knew exactly what he meant. He wanted to know if I preferred cotton panties or silk panties. I played dumb to try to avoid another awkward conversation and say silky bedsheets are not as great as cotton. I meant underwear, he responds. I snapped and told him I don't feel comfortable answering that. He tries to cover up and says, what you prefer is based off your personality. He was trying to cover the fact that he was being a bit creepy and sexual. He then tells me he just imagined me in my panties and implied he got a hard-on using the smiley emoticon of the one with the very large Pinocchio nose. He asked me what my pant size is because he likes my hips. That's it. I stopped responding and ignored him. I shut off my computer and got ready for bed. The next day, my sister Ellen and another girlfriend, Catherine, go out of town to visit Portland and hang out with some friends. I told them what was going on. Of course, Aiden sends me a text and asked if I would ever ignore him. And I respond, only if you give me a reason to. My friends are concerned and grossed out. I explained that I wanted to tell him I never want to talk to him again, but I could imagine the dramatic texts and messages I would get, and I really didn't want to deal with that. I know, says Catherine. Why don't I text him with my phone explaining it's you, but your phone died, and tell him it isn't going to work? I agree to it, and shortly after she texted him, he tries calling me on my phone. Of course, I ignore it. Aiden texts Catherine and asks her to have me give him a call. Later that day, I was nervous about opening my laptop. I was afraid there would be a bunch of messages from him. There was one. He wanted me to contact him as soon as possible to know that everything was alright, because that's what friends did, he added. I didn't respond. I blocked him, and that was that. I was relieved. His over-the-top compliments and clinginess was just too much. A few weeks ago, I noticed a mugshot of a familiar face on the county jail website through Facebook. Man was arrested for rape, forced sodomy, and forced sodomy with a foreign object. No bail allowed. It was Aiden.